this area, don't drive down to look at it. Just stay away and get your updates from TV.
All right, we are taking you live now to Elliot Lake, Ontario. You can see officials are just getting set to give an update on the collapse of that shopping mall roof. Let's listen in live.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back, members of the public and the media. This is likely to be our final press conference for the day today. I just want to go over and review the rules of order with respect to the process. First of all, we'll have the mayor issue a statement. We'll have Inspector Jollymore of the OPP issue a statement. We'll have Bill Needles, who has joined us this afternoon. He is the incident commander with the heavy urban search and rescue team from Toronto, who's been manning the scene since their arrival early this morning. Once the statements have been given, the media will have an opportunity to pose questions to the panel, as we've done in the past. Upon conclusion, we would ask the media to please move to the back of the room and permit the public to address the panel with any questions they have. You're welcome to stay in, but we would ask that you would please respect the public's right to ask questions and not interfere when they are presenting the questions to the panel. Having said that, I will turn the floor over to His Worship Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert-Foley. The emergency management team of the City of Elliot Lake conducted a briefing regarding the incident at the Elbow Mall. On June 23, 2012, at approximately 2:19 p.m., the report was received that a portion of the roof of the Elbow Center Mall had collapsed. Emergency services responded and conducted the evacuation. They remained on the scene, conducting a search and rescue. The emergency management team is providing you the following information. Examination of the scene continues to indicate that there's still a rescue. Evidence has been uncovered that leads us to suspect there may be a casualty. The area is still unstable and dangerous. It is estimated by emergency crews that there will be 10 to 12 hours of further stabilization required in the area before the rescue crew is able to go in. So with that, Mr. Gillingham.
They're getting your left, they're not getting this one. So plug your left on.
As far as the victims go in this particular matter, make it very clear that because the condition of the scene, we have obtained some visual information relating to a visual of a hand and a foot, which is our grounds for the suspected casualty in this case. We cannot confirm identity. We cannot confirm anything about that. We just have a visual, and the location is such that we cannot approach it at this time. The other part of the issue, which is the most important part, is the part about the rescue. And Mr. Needles will go on to explain to you his team's findings at the scene, which leads us to believe that this is still a rescue, and he'll outline his step by step in that process. Thank you.
The City of Toronto Heavy Urban Search and Rescue Team arrived in Elliot Lake early this morning to assist emergency workers and other services at the site of the mall. when we first started our site recce to have a look into and around the mall to get a feel for what we were dealing with, some of our search members this morning heard a couple of taps. They called for quick silence on the site, and there was a couple more taps. That was an indication to us that we were dealing with a rescue. We then turned our whole efforts towards trying to locate this individual. There was no verbal, there was no sight. We have no idea if it's male, female, what age. It was just a tap. We started to deal with the instability and the very, very dangerous situation that presents itself within that structure. There are, as you know, the floors have collapsed on each other. The center beam in the premise is leaning over. There are very, very large and dangerous slabs of concrete that need to be stabilized and some removed before we could ever enter that premise. We've started that process at this end of the building, the north end of the building. At the same time, we tried to extricate and locate the victim as quickly as possible this morning by drilling through a wall, trying to locate it with our camera equipment and our equipment that we can use to best locate the individual. We had no further contact. We were unable to locate the individual and found that it was so unstable and unsafe that we could not risk to send or make any further entry into that part of the structure. When we looked at this structure in that area where we believe there was several thousand pieces of pounds of flooring, concrete structure all around it, there are different voids that have been created by the flooring falling, and it's just very unstable and unsafe for the crew to go in there. So we have to do a very slow and tedious but safe entry. One of the things that you will probably see in the next little while is 2 cranes that are setting up on the other side of the building. One of the efforts that we have to undertake before we can go any further is to remove the I-beam that's collapsed within the structure. It's about 25 feet long and it weighs in excess of 2,500 pounds. That is totally unsafe situation. We have to extract that. That will take significant time to do. There's also a very, very large piece of concrete that's lodged itself on the escalators that's very unsafe and could slide down the escalator portion and right onto the floor. And that's in the general area where we believe the victim was located. That creates a very unsafe situation for both that individual and for our rescue teams. That's going to take us a better part of 10 to 12 hours, and that's assuming we have no other major interruptions or major other issues that confront us on that way through. And we certainly hope to be able to, within that time frame, locate that person and rescue.
Thank you very much, folks. That's what the panel has to deliver in terms of a report for you. And now we'll move forward to questions from the media first. As usual, I will start from the left side of the chamber, my left side of the chamber, work my way across to the right, one at a time, until we've exhausted the questions that are wanted to be asked by the media. I would ask that you identify yourself to the panel as you do the question, and we will begin. Kevin, for your standard.
Right now you're saying that there's the possibility of 2 victims, one possibly fatal and one, is there a possibility there's more? Could we be looking at more than 2 people?
We can't confirm any of that. You know, we still have a list of people we're still trying to track down, but that doesn't. The problem with this is there's no precise science. We don't know who was in the mall when it collapsed. It's a public place, so trying to come up with a number, we just can't come up with a number. So what we have, my last count is that we were down to 9 people, But again, the same as the last press, that number changes. It goes up and down depending on the calls we get.
Is there anybody else from inside the room with the media? Okay, I'll move over to the other side. I don't see CTV here or Global. Sorry, please identify yourself.
Yep, Natalie Collada, CBC News. I'm just wondering, you mentioned that it's going to take some time to get access to this individual who is trapped 10 to 12 hours. Are you expected to work through the night? Can you give us an idea of what's going to happen there?
Yes, we will work right through the night. We have 2 crews that have come with us. One that, when we arrived this morning, went to bed. The other crew worked all day, and you will probably, by the time we leave here, you'll see there's been a change in the crews, and they will come and work all night. As well, we'll be assisted by the OPP as well. Their team is here to assist us over the course of the evening, because they came in earlier yesterday afternoon and worked through the night as well, so they slept during the day. So we will have basically 2 teams working overnight.
I know you mentioned it. There was some confusion about how many people are inside. That's still something you're calculating. I'm just wondering if you can clarify if the tap you heard is the same individual on the phone, or same individual, not on the phone, rather, the same individual who the foot, is that the same person, or are we talking 2 different people there? I'm just a little
We're talking 2 different people.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to understand how you guys managed to get a visual on whoever you saw without being too gruesome. How does that work? Is it a dog with a camera? Is it someone with a wire with a camera at the end of it? How does that work?
That visual was made prior to us arriving yesterday by one of the emergency crews, I believe. I don't know.
So in that particular case where you suspect there might be casualty, you're actually relying on someone who saw that before you guys got here, someone who was inside?
The evidence was that I was given. I don't have any further information on that.
So okay, very good. Thank you for that. If I might, as a follow-up about that tap that you heard, could you describe the occasion, how it came about, and what it looked like, what it felt like?
One of the ways that we try to communicate so people know we're there. So my search team went into the area and vocally yelled out, if there's anybody there, please tap, and they got a response. And that would be quickly, they then asked for complete silence on the entire site and asked again and got another tap. And then one more time, they asked to tap 3 times. We only got 1 tap back. So.
And what's the situation now? Have you asked for other communication as the hours have gone by to verify if there was someone else?
Yes, we have.
And what's been the answer?
No response back.
What does that tell you?
Well, it may be that they're weak and can't tap. They may be unconscious, so we're believing that that's maybe the case. There's no reason for us to believe that they've passed away, so we're believing that they're still there and still alive.
Thank you, Sebastian. Is there any further questions? Corey?
Just further clarification on a number of people on, through the internet are communicating with each other that they know people were in there, their friends and family were in there. So just for clarification for the public, how is the list that you're keeping with the victim services at Collins Hall, how is the list going up and down? What kind of information are you getting from people who are missing and then determining, oh, that's not actually a missing person? How are you working through that?
So what? I'll wait till everything is. Want me to hold it? So what we've done is we went to all the owners in the mall and asked them who was working. And we took the work schedules and we tried to eliminate those people right off the bat. And then in addition to that, there was earlier press release when this tragedy happened, encouraging members of the public to call us if they had further information concerning people who may or may not be in the mall. So as you can imagine, we get people that call that they haven't seen somebody and they haven't been able to get a hold of somebody that's here, reportedly here in the city of Elliot Lake. and then we've been tracking those down. So, I mean, the list was pages long. It goes up and down. We ran the vehicles that were parked on the mall that were left in different locations and try to match the registered owners up with what's happened with those vehicles. If those vehicles are employees of the mall, those type of checks. Does that help you with that? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
And sorry to...
Just a second, please. We're just going in order here, so I'll get back to you. Is there anything further? Kevin, you're fine? There's nobody over there. Okay, sir, thank you.
Just as a follow-up, you were saying that you still had about 9 people on that list, that it could go up and down. Is it fair to say that you guys still need to investigate for a couple of hours, or would it be for a couple of days before you can eliminate any doubt as to who could be on that list?
We won't stop until the list has been satisfied. So, I mean, we have to track down those leads. That's part of our role, and to support the municipality and about what we're dealing with. So, I mean, some of I can't even speculate, even if they're in these people on this list are in or not in the mall. We just can't confirm it. It's just a list that we have that we're trying to track down. That's the only investigative lead we have.
Thank you. Any further questions up the front here? No? Corey? We're done? Okay, thank you very much, folks. Just ask the media at this point in time, if you could please move back to the chamber and provide the public with their opportunity to pose any questions.
All right, you've been watching a news conference from Elliot, Lake Ontario. That's where that roof of the mall collapsed. We heard some stunning new information there. Officials now say it appears at least one person has died in the collapse. Emergency crews say they can see a hand and a foot underneath the rubble, but they can't get to the body, so there's no identification. Now, at the same time, workers say they heard tapping coming from underneath the fallen debris today. But keep in mind here, this is 2 floors that have collapsed down, including a parking level. So there are cars now in that mall. So this is a dangerous situation. The rubble is highly unstable. So workers tried to reach the source of that tapping, but they had to pull back for safety reasons. But they say they're going to keep looking, and this is still a rescue operation. Now, authorities say they have a list of 9 people that have been reported missing. They have no idea if all of those 9 people were in the mall at that time, but that's what they're working with. They're just going with calls from the public as people call in to say, you know, if there is somebody missing that they haven't seen. But once again, those people could be out of town. Right now, authorities have no idea if all 9 of those people were inside the mall at the time. Now, authorities are saying, our Natalie Collada is at that news conference. She asked officials, what are you going to do into the night? And they say they are going to continue the search throughout the night. But once again, the big news there, they do have confirmed that one person has died and they are hearing tapping. Well, the CBC's Natalie Collada, she's at that news conference, as I just mentioned, and she joins us live from there right now. So, Natalie, give us a recap of the latest.
Well, as we heard, they have narrowed down this list that started with 22 people earlier to 9 people that are unaccounted for. They know that there were people in the mall at the time. There were a number of people that ran out when the roof collapsed, the parking roof collapsed down those 2 floors onto that main concourse. We can tell you that they have narrowed that list to 9 people. But as the police have just said, that number can go up and down. They're still not sure. We also heard, very interestingly, that they heard some tapping. They believe there may still be someone inside, someone that could potentially still be alive. They heard that tapping that was on the door, through the wall. Someone was making the tapping. They asked for it 3 times. They got it twice. The 3rd time they asked the person to tap 3 times, and they only got 1 response back. They tried again later in the afternoon. They didn't hear anything. The other thing that the police are telling us is that we're looking at potentially 2 possible fatalities fatalities, maybe more. They believe that they have indicated they have found 2 people. They just haven't been able to get at them right now, and that is because the structure itself is very unstable. There's all sorts of wire, there's debris, there's concrete, and they can't get at it right now. So as you can imagine, it must be very frustrating for police. They're going to be working all night through it to try and pull those people out that they can as they continue the search to find out exactly how many people are still left inside the mall here at Elliot Lake.
It is an incredible scenario there, Natalie. We've been hearing from people in Elliot Lake. What's the reaction in the community?
Well, actually, behind me right now, the community is having their opportunity to ask more questions from both the fire department, from the police officers. They're having that opportunity. It's much quieter standing here now than it was a few hours ago when there was a similar press conference and a similar opportunity from the public. We heard an outpouring there of emotion, a lot of anger, people upset because there have been concerns over the roof of this mall since 2005. There had been constant leaks and repairs, and people wanted to know why this had to come to this extent for this problem to become recognized as at the magnitude that they believed it was. Now, of course, the officers and the search and rescue crews couldn't speak to that. That was something that perhaps the owner of the mall could speak to. The family that owns the mall, they were here not at this time, but they were here at the previous event that was held. They spoke with us afterwards. They talked about how deeply sorry they were. The son of the owner broke down and started to cry as he extended his deep sympathies to the families who have members still inside the mall, trapped, missing, not knowing and wondering about their fate right now. So that's the latest that we know.
Natalie, thanks so much for the latest. That's a CBC's Natalie Collada in Elliot Lake. And of course, stay with CBC News and the National tonight. We'll keep you updated. The Insiders is coming up next right here on CBC News Network.